You're watching UATV News. My name is Inna Kosinska. Good evening. Ex-official of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine was detained. He is suspected of organizing a terrorist attack and killing of protesters during the protests in Kyiv in 2014. This is reported by the Office of the Prosecutor General. As a result of exceeding the authority, 3 people were killed, 14 were seriously injured, and 59 got moderate severity injuries, the prosecutor's office reported. The ex-law enforcement officer was hiding from investigation and was on the wanted list. Large-scale international military exercises Rapid Trident 2021 have begun. They will be held at the training ground of the International Center for Peacekeeping and Security in Lviv region in western Ukraine. 6,000 servicemen from 15 partner countries will take part in the drills. Mechanized and tank units of the armed forces of Ukraine have already practiced tactical actions during the offensive. In addition, readiness of the Rapid Trident command staff was checked. The exercise will run until October 1st. The Russian-Belarusian military exercises Zapad 2021 held near the Ukrainian borders is a threat to Ukraine. Commander of the Joint Forces, Lieutenant General Serhiy Naev, told about this in an interview with Ukrainian media. According to him, the second dangerous factor is the imitation of or demonstration of the return of Russian units to the places of permanent deployment after the exercises and the formation of groups on the territory of Belarus. As Naev emphasized, at present there are no signs of the creation of offensive groups of troops by Russia. The situation remains under control.
In general, we are considering various options for the development of the situation. Therefore, we continuously monitor the situation and keep a suitable set of troops in readiness. The main task is to prevent any actions of the Russian Federation, prevent destabilization of the situation, and avoid the involvement of the armed forces of Ukraine in possible provocations.
One of the batteries of the Iron Dome system will be installed in Donbas. This was announced by a representative of the Office of the President of Ukraine, Speaker of the Ukrainian delegation to the Trilateral Contact Group, Alexei Rostovich. He noted that a bill has already been submitted to the U.S. Congress, which instructs the U.S. Department of Defense to consider the possibility of providing Ukraine with additional weapons. In particular, 2 batteries of the Iron Dome. This missile defense system protects the civilian population and important infrastructure from shelling.
The decision to be made will depend on the results of the report of the U.S. Department of Defense, then the resolution of the Congress, and then the decision of the executive branch, in particular of President Biden. It is not fast, this is American political process. I can say that it became possible due to the visit of the President of Ukraine to the United States, where a defense agreement was signed between Ukraine and the US, which foresees cooperation in 11 spheres. And this is a small part of one of the directions, the transfer of 2 batteries of the Iron Dome to us.
In Dnipro City, the Security Service of Ukraine stopped the work of bot farms sponsored from Russia. It was spreading fakes about pandemic and vaccination. Earlier, this similar enterprise was uncovered in Kharkiv region. Experts say impact of fakes on Ukrainians' attitude to vaccination is significant. My colleagues will tell how to distinguish lies from truth.
The microchips are installed in one's body to be controlled via 5G. The pandemic is a project of the secret government and personally of Bill Gates. And the goal of this project is to reduce the population of Homo sapiens. All of these are fakes concerning coronavirus and vaccination. Internet is full of them, and you've probably heard them too.
To my mind, anyone can become a victim of misinformation if the perpetrators find the right key to a person. In other words, they can support one's views, prejudice, whatever they may be.
Experts note most of the fakes have the same mechanism of influence and take root especially well in the times of anxiety, mass or tragic events. COVID-19 is no exception.
Those are conspiracy theories that there is a confederacy of some people who can influence politics and business in an organized manner. It develops some kind of powerlessness, distrust, lack of faith in one's own strength, certain fatalism, so to say, that everything is foregone conclusion. But again, I would not want to stigmatize any particular group.
So who benefits from spreading misinformation about coronavirus and vaccination? Researchers show that Russia is most actively involved in this process. For example, Facebook recently blocked several Russian groups that spread lies on the internet using bots. Their goal easily fits marketing strategy to sow doubts about certified vaccines from well-known manufacturers and then convince that there is nothing better than a Russian vaccine. Despite the fact that the World Health Organization has suspended the certification process for the Russian Sputnik V, and European Medicines Agency did not approve it as well.
The main goal of the Russian Federation is first of all to create a split in society. They are pleased when 50% of inhabitants are for and 50% are against. When Ukrainians cannot come to a common idea and everyone quarrels, they will sow division for any reason, whether it's social or pension security, government or anything else. Then the vaccine came around, so they will disseminate definite thoughts about the vaccine.
In order to avoid falling under fake's influence, it is necessary to check the information in authoritative sources with an evidence base. Perhaps that is why most of Ukrainians are not prone to fantasies, despite loads of misinformation about the pandemic.
It could, but no.
Come on, what microchips? Those are absurd stories of a sick person and sick fantasy. I heard that, but until I check the information myself, I try not to spread it. It is better to have a critical mind.
And I think the virus is artificial and was created in a laboratory. For the rest, I don't know.
In case the organizers of the bot farm use other users' personal data to spread fakes, they are going to face up to 3 years in prison, as the Criminal Code of Ukraine prescribes. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Danilo Kobza, UATV News.
This Wednesday, the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine will consider a resolution to recognize the results of the election to the Russian State Duma as illegitimate. This was stated by First Deputy Chairman of the parliamentary fraction, Servant of the People, Alexander Korniyenko. On Tuesday, the Cabinet of Ministers will present the draft law on the next year's state budget. In addition, on Friday, head of the government will present a report to the MPs. In particular, Prime Minister is going to talk about preparations to the heating season and utilities tariffs. The MPs have also included de-oligarchization bills into the agenda of the plenary week.
Bills on the anti-oligarchic package must be considered urgently. They are ready. We do not see any obstacles for consideration. According to MP Hetmantsev, 54 bills have already been considered this year with non-compliance of the 10-day review period. Among those are such important bills as the IMF package and macrofinance package. I think that such an important reform as the anti-oligarchic one definitely deserves to stand in one row with the bills on the reform of the banking sector, for example.
The epidemic situation with COVID-19 is getting worse in Ukraine. This was announced by Chief State Senator Dr. Igor Kuzin. The number of new cases of coronavirus infection per day has doubled. That is, last Monday there were 3,300 cases, and as of the past Friday, more than 6,000. The only effective way to prevent the disease is vaccination.
According to the electronic health system, over the past 3 months, almost everyone who was hospitalized in Ukraine due to the severe course or complications from COVID-19 was not vaccinated. If you want to protect yourself from a severe course, hospitalization and death, get vaccinated as soon as possible.
Adaptive quarantine was extended in Ukraine until December 31st. The decision was made by the Cabinet of Ministers. Moreover, tomorrow the State Commission on Technogenic and Environmental Safety and Emergencies will announce the date from which the yellow level of the epidemic threat is established throughout the country. Health Minister Viktor Leshko said the medical system is ready for the new wave of COVID-19. 3-day cyber training for Ukrainian civil servants. This is for the second time they are held by the European initiative EU for Digital UA. Experts from Estonia will stimulate hacker attacks in real time. The task of the Ukrainians is to keep the system in working order. They will be evaluated by the third team, which will also include employees of the State Special Communication Service. They will control the process and track the quality of the virus reflection. The training itself will begin tomorrow, and on Wednesday, September 22nd, the participants will gather in order to take stock of the exercises. They know that it is important for Ukrainian specialists to improve the skills of repelling cyber attacks in the context of Russia's aggressive actions.
Загалом
About 300,000 cyber incidents are recorded in the country in a week. The capacity of the State Special Communication Service, including the secure internet access system, is based on a cybersecurity control center, and we block up to 50,000 cyber attacks weekly. And of course, much of those cyber attacks come to us from the Russian Federation. If we talk about the public sector, then we have already built a whole system of countering cyber attacks and cyber threats. Those cyber exercises we hold, this is the workshop and practical opportunities that need to be regularly received and supported by cybersecurity specialists.
Solar panels, an agro-drone, a concierge robot, a hologram of the motherland statue, and even a space robot spider. All this was presented in Kyiv at an interactive exhibition of innovative IT products by Ukrainian developers. Participants and organizers discussed the prospects for the development of the industry in Ukraine, as well as achievements and plans for further cooperation between IT companies and the state. We decided to show not only the software being developed that our respondents have, but also the hardware in development. That is, the products and companies are in fact something that one can touch, look at and see with one's own eyes. This is very interesting, and I'm excited and stand for both Ukraine and the world to learn more about great innovative developments we have here and now.
One of the most progressive ministries is the Ministry of Digital Transformation, and it acts as vivid communicator between the state and the market. Of course, they have a certain need in the form of some kind of help in terms of IT infrastructure or IT expertise, for instance. That is, they turn to Ukrainian developers in order to help them in such moments.
Jazz and Etna on a traditional Ukrainian instrument. A unique Bandura festival was organized in Lviv for the 5th time. This way, the organizers want to draw attention to the folk instrument and show that modern music has a special sound when played on it. Our journalists have also visited the festival.
Valeria has been playing the bandura since childhood. She devotes several hours a day to master her skills.
It is a very complicated instrument in all terms. The sound of extraction, free play, and it is necessary to work properly and learn from the beginning, so it is very difficult to learn, but then it sounds very nice.
Ivan plays the electric bandura. It differs from the original one. It is louder.
An acoustic bandura player has a limit on the number of people 3 meters away, and he is not heard. An electric instrument enhances the effectiveness of the musician.
The main task of the festival is to dispel the myth that the bandura is an outdated, uninteresting instrument.
There is a stereotype that the bandura is not progressive. However, this is a progressive, cool instrument. It is already electroacoustic. And there is also a stereotype that the bandura is a folk instrument, as it is called. But this one was created in the 1960s. That is, it is a modern instrument.
In order to popularize playing the bandura, the festival organizers have created a mobile application. It is possible to play 6 Ukrainian instruments there. Over 2 years, the application has been downloaded for free by over 100,000 people.
For example, I can play all strings. There is even a setting. You can take a different system, such as the Lydian, for instance. And as we then play it, one can also take shorts.
The festival is attended by not only Ukrainian, but foreign musicians as well. David came from Washington, D.C. He has Ukrainian roots and learned about the bandura from his father.
I love bandura music. I have 2 banduras of my own, and I know many banduristas. In America, close to where I used to live, we had bandura camp. The Capella Bandurista hosted a bandura camp where they taught bandura every summer. And I used to work at the camp in the kitchen to help cook. So I've known about the bandura ever since I was a young boy. I used to dream about singing with the Capella Bandurist.
The yearly Bandura festival is the only one of a kind in Ukraine, and this festival is already the 5th one. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Yulia Bil, UATV News.
That's all for this hour. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook pages. Thank you for staying with the UATV channel. Goodbye.